With just one line, Mark Hamill was no longer Luke Skywalker. He pulled Harrison Ford straight into the room. That dry voice, that careless attitude, that ice-cold Han Solo cool.
We hadn't filmed that scene yet, and I'm looking in continuity, and I said, well, wait a second, this is right after we got out of the trash compactor. Shouldn't my hair be all wet and matted with schmutz all through it? And he turns to me and says, hey, kid, it ain't that kind of movie.
If you thought Mark Hamill only had a lightsaber, then you have not really heard what his voice can do. Please like, subscribe, and watch until the end, because Mark does not need to change his face. He only has to change his voice, and the whole room transforms. Mark Hamill does not imitate Harrison Ford by forcing himself to sound similar. He captures the attitude, cold, dry, too lazy to explain, and far too cool to prove he is cool.
Oh my gosh. Well, the thing is, he walked on. George likes to cast people that are so close to what he wants, he doesn't have to really get in there and give you a lot of direction.
Yeah.
So Harrison walks in, and he's just too cool for school. I mean, instant idolization. You know, Carrie was funny and witty and adorable. And we just immediately hit it off. It was perfect. And Harrison had a really firm grasp of, like, the overview. I think he'd make a really good director if he weren't so lazy. But,
The beauty is that Mark does not imitate from the outside. He slips into the rhythm, the eyes, the attitude of the person. And with one line, Harrison Ford seems to walk right into the room. Even with an ordinary question, Mark can bend the moment into a very calm little joke. He is not loud. He does not try too hard, but he always manages to tilt the format just enough to make it charming.
And the Colbert questionnaire is like 13, 14 questions here that penetrate straight to the soul of someone, reveal them fully to the world and to the audience. Are you prepared? Have you the courage to be known, Mark Hamill?
am I allowed to lie?
Yes.
Well, then I have complete confidence.
Before Star Wars became a legend, it was once a strange gamble. Robots, Wookiees, men in dog costumes, and young actors having to perform as if all of it were completely normal.
You see how quickly they forget, Buster? Oh, that was a big... They show those now on Channel 13 around, and those were done, I think, in the early 30s. And that was considered, you know, really far out.
Right.
They were way ahead of their time. But Star Wars is an amazing film.
It's exactly what inspired George to make it,
Really?
though, because he has that great love for... He loved the Alex Raymond illustrations for Flash Gordon. He loved Buck Rogers. And he just felt that he wanted to make a movie where there were real heroes again. He thought, you know, with just cops busting people for dope and this and that, you know, he said, now let's go to a galaxy far, far away where we don't have to know why these guys are bad. They're just bad.
Mark does not talk about Star Wars like some distant monument. He talks about it like a backstage memory, magical, messy, and funny, which makes the legend feel more human. And when Harrison Ford comes up, everything suddenly comes alive. In Mark's telling, Harrison is the kind of man cold enough to look at George Lucas's dialogue and want George himself to say it out loud.
When we were making it, people asked me, well, did you think it was going to be successful? And yeah, I never really thought about it. I just thought, gee, this is great fun. I mean, they're giving us laser guns, and I get to rescue a princess, and, you know...
It looked like a campy thing to make.
Well, sure, and it was so hard. A lot of times, it's a true story. Harrison Ford, who plays the space pirate in the film, at one point threatened to tie George up and make him say his own lines at gunpoint.
Mark loves Star Wars, but he is also clear-eyed enough to laugh at it. The strange dialogue, the serious scenes beside robots and Wookiees. Through Mark, all of it becomes comedy.
I mean, the dialogue was a little bit difficult. I remember there was one line that I just begged him to take out of the screenplay, and he finally did.
And it's remember the line?
Yes, boy, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I sometimes dream about this line. It was just coming upon the exploded planet of the princess, Alderaan, and it's totally been blown away. And Harrison says, look, kid, I've done my part of the bargain. When I get to an asteroid, you, the old man, and the droids get dropped off. And my line was, but we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquilai or Sullust, and what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. And I thought, who talks like this, George? I mean, this is really not fair because, you know, we're the ones that are going to get vegetables thrown at us, not you.
That self-awareness is what kept Mark from being swallowed whole by Luke Skywalker. He knew Luke was the hero, but in comedy, the hero is not always the one with the best line.
And then when I read it, it just hit me. I said, this is more like Wizard of Oz than traditional science fiction. Because, I mean, 2001 is a stone cold classic. A laugh riot, it ain't.
Right.
And this one was so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so on a human level. I mean, we risk our lives to rescue the princess. She takes a look at what we came in and says, you came in that? I mean, who says things like that? And robots arguing over whose fault it is. I mean, I knew I was a straight man. I thought, oh, every part is funnier than mine. But it gives, you know, if you appreciate comedy, you realize what Bud Abbott is doing for Lou Costello.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, when you say to three people, you know, that little friend of yours is going to get me in a lot of trouble. Oh, he excels at that. Well, you're lining it up for him to knock it out of the park. But I leave it to George Lucas to write a script where the robots get better lines than me.
Mark understands that sometimes Luke is the straight man, the one standing in the middle of the chaos. So Han Solo, the robots, the Wookiee, and the entire strange universe around him can become even funnier. But when people cast with their ears instead of their eyes, that is when Mark truly escapes the shadow of Luke.
And while I was here, a friend of mine was here and said, hey, I can get us jobs as ushers for one night for this play if you want to go see a play. I said, sure, it'll be fun. And I walk in, and you're on stage doing the Groucho part. Hilarious.
Well, that's the thing. The critics all came to the play assuming that I was going to play the Midwestern innocent playwright. Golly, I've never been in the big city before. And instead, I was the sleazy Gordon Miller. And they were shocked. And plus, it didn't look anything like me. I had my pants up to here. I had a half jar of pomade in my hair and the brilliantine mustache. And when you look in the mirror, you go, that's not Mark, that's Gordon Miller. So that's what I love about character acting. And in voiceover, they cast with their ears, not their eyes. So you get a lot of parts that you'd never get if you were meant to be on camera.
When audiences look at Mark, they see Luke Skywalker. But when they listen to Mark, they can see almost anyone. Harrison Ford, the Joker, Chucky, Yogi Bear, Donald Duck, or a character that has not even found its shape yet. Since childhood, Mark heard the world differently from other people. While others were studying math, he was analyzing Claude Rains, Yogi Bear, and Snagglepuss. Every voice, every rhythm, every way a character could exist through sound.
You draw from all different elements. I was doing Claude Rains from The Invisible Man. Crazy? You think I'm crazy? I'll show you who's crazy. When other kids were studying algebra, I was working on my smarter than the average bear. Hey, boo-boos.
I'm smarter than the average bear.
The way I did it was when I would be in a record store, I'd go to the children's record section and look at Rocky and Bullwinkle albums, Looney Tunes albums that had the list of who did what. And I would recognize voices. I said, okay, Huckleberry Hound, he sounds like Andy Griffith. Snagglepuss is Bert Lahr.
For Mark, a voice is not just sound. It is a map of a person, a little rasp, a slight stretch, a laugh that lands off beat. All of it can reveal character. Even his childhood feels like a comedy class. Mark met Groucho Marx, only wanted an autograph, and was immediately roasted by his own hero on the spot.
He said to me, you know who's sitting right over there? And I said, who? He goes, that's Groucho Marx. And I looked around and I said, that's not Groucho Marx. I was a huge Groucho fan, but obviously he wasn't wearing this mustache and all that. And he said, no, that is. Boris said, believe me, that is him. Go ask for his autograph. So it wasn't my idea, but I went over there. I had a Bistro matchbook cover and I said, I almost couldn't talk. I said, can I have your autograph? Oh, you don't have my autograph? Well, that's one strike against you. What's your name? Oh, no name and no autograph. That's two strikes against you. One more strike and you're out of the ball game. And I managed to get out, Mark Hamill. Camel, eh? I don't see a hump. Well, don't worry. You'll have one by the time you're my age.
That story shows that Mark did not only learn comedy from the stage. Comedy marked him in real life, with a cut that was painful, beautiful, and unforgettable. Then came Donald Duck. A man in a proper suit walked out, opened his mouth, and suddenly a cartoon character came out of his throat. To Mark, that was magic.
Oh gosh, earliest memory. I remember seeing a man on the Walt Disney show with white hair and a suit. It was before kindergarten. I was maybe 3 or 4. And he got up to the microphone, Clarence Nash, and he did the voice of Donald Duck. And it just blew my mind. I mean, I was so young, I thought, I guess, oh yeah, there must be people who do Daffy and Bugs and all that. But it was an epiphany. And I thought, I want that job.
You got that job.
Well, I do a terrible Donald Duck. But what I'm saying is, clickety-click, I thought, gee, people go to work and they're the voices of cartoons?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make me a very good studier in high school. I mean,
That moment explains why Mark became such a special voice actor. If you are good enough, the actor can disappear completely, and all that remains is the character. The role that proved that most powerfully was the Joker. This was the moment Luke Skywalker stepped into the dark and then vanished behind a laugh.
Well, I mean, many have said that you, of all the Jokers, yours is the greatest of all time. No, there was a recent ranking. It was a recent ranking. You came in number 1.
I have fun. I love the Joker. Because, I mean, to get behind the wheel of that crazy car, I mean, you're not in every episode, but when you show up, you just create chaos, and it's a fantastic cast. Kevin Conroy's been my Batman since '92. We're celebrating our 25th year, and you know, I have my Batman family, I have my Star Wars family, and I just can't believe how much fun I'm having with all this. You guys, I'm telling you, I never expected that we'd come back if they did another trilogy, that they would bring back our characters, and it was really intimidating and scary, but I'm really appreciating it now, because in your 20s, you sort of take it for granted, and it's so much more enjoyable now that I'm in my early 80s.
Mark does not play the Joker by simply laughing scary. He understands that the Joker is a crazy car, always feeling like it is about to fly off the road.
I had so much fun doing that character because he's insane. And if you're insane, you're unpredictable. And if you're unpredictable, you're never boring.
And he had that incredible laugh.
Oh my gosh.
Where did that come from?
So I had quite an arsenal of laughs in my repertoire already. I said to the producers, I don't want him to have just one laugh. I think his laugh should be like the colors on a palette where it reflects his mood. Yeah. And I remember reading an interview with Frank Gorshin where he talked about it's not that the Riddler laughs, it's what he laughs at that defines who he is. So his Riddler is like one of my favorite comic book villains of all time. I love Frank Gorshin.
Mark's Joker has many colors. A laugh when he wins, a laugh when he hurts, a laugh from sickness, a laugh because he knows Batman is still listening. This is no longer just an impression. This is acting that lives entirely inside the throat. With Chucky, Mark does not repeat himself. He does not take the Joker laugh and place it inside a doll. He finds a different fear, innocence with its safety limits removed.
I got a really nice letter from Lars Klevberg, the director, where he was talking about how he saw it as a Greek tragedy and that Chucky's an innocent and how he hopes that the audience will have some understanding or some sympathy for him. So I thought, wow, the fundamental change that made me really want to do it was, unlike the original, he wasn't a serial killer's personality transposed onto a doll. He was an innocent doll where someone maliciously goes in and takes off the safety measures. That totally justified it. It was scary because, again, I'm sort of old school and I want Chucky, wait, Chucky. But, you know, you have to serve the script and that wouldn't have worked.
Mark's Chucky is frightening because the evil does not scream at first. It learns the wrong way to love, the wrong way to play, the wrong way to hurt people. After all of it, Mark still does not take his legacy too seriously. He knows Luke lives in the memories of millions, but he is still charming enough to turn himself into the joke.
It's a 2.5 hour
yeah, and
foreplay.
everybody's talking about me for 2 hours.
Yeah.
The sword of Skywalker is too powerful. Skywalker must be stopped. I'm going, ooh, good. I'm writing all this down. I remember thinking, when I got to the scene, I hope everyone's seen it, but when the lightsaber jiggles in the forest and flies out of the snow, I went, oh, baby, here I am. Goes to Rey. I'm saying she didn't even do any training. What's going on here?
What is going on there? 'Cause she didn't do any training.
Well,
How could
listen.
she possibly stand up?
Well,
You know-
well, fans point out you quit your training, young man, so don't get so mouthy.
That's true. Yeah.
The thing is, you know, there were the originals, there were the prequels, and this is really the next generation. Luke's no longer the protagonist; it's Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, and
Wonderful.
and it's not my story anymore. It's just so fun to be invited back to the party, especially when you didn't think it was going to happen.
The moment Luke waits for the lightsaber and misses it is both funny and a little bitter. It shows that Mark understands his place. He was once the center of a universe, but he is still clear-eyed enough to laugh when the story no longer revolves around him. And that is Mark Hamill. He can be Luke, the Joker, Chucky, Harrison Ford, or Yogi Bear. But what makes them all live is that sharp ear and that astonishingly flexible voice. Mark Hamill does not just do impressions. He brings people back to life through voice, breath, rhythm, and tiny details most people never hear. From Harrison Ford's icy cool, to Groucho Marx's sharpness, to Donald Duck as a piece of childhood magic, to the Joker and Chucky in the dark, Mark proves that some actors do not need to change their face. They only need to change their voice, and the whole room transforms. If you love classic moments like these, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments, which Mark Hamill voice or role do you remember most?